So this is the second series of the Good Wife spin-off. Stars Christine Baranski and Kush Jumbo, who were the two sort of major characters to make the jump from the original series. Also focused on Rose Leslie's character Maya Rindell, who was the daughter of Henry, who was this sort of Bernie Meinhof type character who was involved in
Or
this
even Bernie Madoff, if
that
I
one.
may.
He was involved in this sort of Ponzi scheme which lost Diane a lot of money, and she had to go to work at this sort of primarily black law firm, Reddick Boseman. And the first series was majorly about was her father guilty, and it turned out at the end, yes, he was. He fled, and basically as a result, she was arrested. This series opens with the funeral of Reddick.
Yes.
I can't remember his first name.
Mister.
Mr. Reddick. It's sort of framed around his funeral. You're getting the sort of bits and bobs, the main stories going in. So the continued trial and the evidence. Jane Lynch is back as she FBI?
No, she's just another lawyer, isn't she?
I thought she worked with the FBI.
You might be thinking of Glee. No,
Back to Darren Criss
I
again.
thought she was working for.
No, she works for the FBI.
Does she? Oh wow!
FBI agent, yeah.
And she done well since Glee.
So that's the first sort of story is Maya's continued trial. At the FBI seem to be faking evidence to sort of bring her out, and there's an insinuation that like her old tennis coach is involved in it somehow. That
Some very sexy scenes there.
sexy
Makes me
CBS
wanna-
Black.
I nearly took up tennis the following day after watching this.
Because the thing with CBS All Access now, as we mentioned when we reviewed
Yeah.
season one, is that
they can get away
that you
with-
can have effing and boobies.
Which is what I want from my drama.
Adrian Boseman, the Delroy Lindo character, at the funeral finds out that he might be losing the Reddick name now that Mr. Reddick has passed away. Then there's this other story about lawyers being killed, which you seem to have an issue with, where it's sort of like vigilante justice towards this divorced lawyer who was killed in a hit and run. After this guy felt so wronged by him, he'd lost custody of his kids and everything. And his sort of one line after being hauled off by the police was "kill all lawyers." So that seems to be like a recurring theme throughout.
I don't have an issue with it. I'm just fascinated to see how they will deal with it and whether it will tip over into comedy rather than. I don't know how they're going to deal with it.
I do trust. I trust the good wife / good fight team, the Kings.
Yeah.
And then there's the smaller story about Marissa, Sarah Steele's character, who was also in The Good Wife, the daughter of the Alan Cumming character, who has now passed her private investigating certificate and wants to do more at the firm in that area. And it seems to be her and the firm's investigator, Jay, are sort of almost doing like a sort of moonlighting
Double
type
act,
thing,
yeah.
which I quite like. And I would like that to be the spin-off of the spin-off.
That would be amazing if it never ended. It just kept spinning. Well, that's what happens with CSI. I suppose.
And I suppose
never
one
ends.
of the things for Good Wife viewers is that they seem to have
Yay.
Howard Lyman as a
Yeah.
joke, which
Her face.
I have to say of everything was the thing I struggled with, and I love Howard Lyman as a
Yeah,
character.
I know.
But it was very comedic, and it was very much I didn't like Reddick. You're not going to his funeral. I'm going to, just talk to the jurors about sandwiches and.
I think the tone of this was more all over the place.
Yeah, a
than the
little
tone
bit.
of Good Girls,
I would say in the comedic elements, yes, but I think the structure of it I really liked. How they went down like the program for the funeral, if you will, and they had the the service, the internment, and then the wake, and they showed you that, and it was almost done like a 3-act play, which is what I really appreciated. I think the scenes in court sort of almost took you out because you weren't in that world with all the other characters.
I enjoyed it for the most part. I do like The Good Fight and The Good Wife, and I just enjoy spending time in their sort of over-the-top, extravagant world. I kind of wished that we got more sort of stuff that we're used to from it. I was kind of bored by the funeral stuff quite quickly.
Oh,
And
why? I don't understand that.
Well, no,
What?
no, just because I think I don't know. I didn't like the setting, and it didn't move
I
along.
really liked
It,
that. I thought it
I did
worked.
initially, but then when it
Uh,
carried on throughout the
framing
episode,
framing all the sort of the stories, it worked that it was
I
all
understand.
it
Yeah,
worked that it was all of the one day. You had this sort of ticking clock that you
yeah,
needed all these things
I
to be
agree.
sorted
I
out
agree
by.
with that. It was a bit oppressive for me the whole way through. I have a bigger issue with Maya. I don't know whether I care. I think Rose Leslie does a good enough job as Maya, but her being, a trainee lawyer is far more interesting to me than this case she's got herself wrapped up in. And
I can see that. Yes, I understand where you're going with
Yeah.
that. It's mainly the story, the continued sort of thing with her parents and everything.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I like the character of Maya, but the story with Henry and her, like in the first season, it was all about is her mum having an affair with the uncle, and then it turned out they were sort of all in.
But it was it was
together.
background story, and you saw her go to court, and you saw her, being sort of mentored by Diane and joining the firm, and I enjoy all of that. The fact that they've just had this storyline about her family and the court case just consume her and take her away from the world. If she wasn't with Cush Jumbo, I think I'd really struggle. And that's not to say anything bad about Rose Leslie's performance. I think she's doing as well as she could with the story that she's been given to tell. But I just don't know how compelled I am. I'm not going to stop watching. I think it is a really good show.
And you also said to me that you weren't a fan of all the Trump stuff. You found that sort of cringy.
I understand why they do it, and I understand it's important for them to do. But sometimes it seems a bit cringy when they drop it in. And
I suppose one of the things I didn't mention is that the Audrey McDonald character Liz worked at the state's attorney's office, but had sent this tweet about Trump that then basically had got her the sack from the office, and that's why she's free up to sort of start her own firm or join Reddick Bozeman. And things are harder for black firms now that, or are things harder for black firms, I suppose, is the question they're asking now that Trump is in charge.
There's also an insinuation that Diane is going to take up drugs this season.
Oh yes, microdosing. That is a bit of a jump, I would say. That seems a bit out of left field.
It seems out of character for that character.
I would have an issue more with that than the sort of kill all lawyers story that they seem to be telling.
A Good Fight starts next Thursday, the 15th. Everybody in it is very good. There's just a couple of niggles. For me, I don't know how invested I am in the background of Maya's family, and
I suppose this one as well, you didn't get like a case of the week, which you will get on.
I do like them. So, but we know we're going to get them, so I'm not traumatized. Yeah, The Good Fight, Thursday the 15th, more for 9 o'clock on the TV over here.